Hello and welcome to EB-5 Investment Report. I'm your host, Aimee Rios, and today we are joined by Ron Darling, CEO of American Redevelopment Solutions, a U.S. CIS designated EB-5 regional center located in Irvine, California. With a geographic scope spanning across Los Angeles, San Bernardino, and Riverside counties, ARS specializes in commercial, industrial, and retail property development and management. Their first offering is the Olivewood Retail Center located in Murrieta, California. Welcome, Ron. Can you tell us about your regional center, why you founded it, when it was established?
Sure, Amy. We were first designated in June of 2009 to do professional office, medical office, retail, and food service buildings.
Can you tell us about your first EB-5 regional center projects, if they have any I-829 approvals?
Sure. Our first project was the Olivewood Center, which has 24 investors. We have 21 I-526s, and 3 are waiting for or pending approval. The first investor comes up for her 829 in January of this year.
Okay, can you tell us how successful ARS is in comparison with some of the older regional centers such as CMB?
Well, obviously the older regional centers such as CMB, American Life, they've raised upwards to close to $1 billion, and they are big and old regional centers. ARS is a medium-sized regional center. We do small projects mostly between about $15 and $40 million. I have been in the industry since the mid-90s. I took my first marketing trip to Taiwan in 1997. So what you'll find in this industry is that most regional centers are operated by people who have come to the industry after 2009.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, I think it's really a function of the U.S. CIS trying to make the program more successful. Historically, only maybe 800 visas a year were issued in the early part of the program, but not until the economic meltdown of 2008 did really the whole program, the U.S. CIS take an about face, and really they've started working with the industry to make sure that the program becomes fully actualized. And to that end, they have approved many, many more regional centers. I think in 2005 there was only 7 regional centers, and in 2009 we were the 44th regional center approved. And of course now today there's well over 200.
Can you tell me about what some of the challenges you think USCIS faces with the EB-5 program?
Well, I think their biggest challenge over the last couple of years has been the vast increase in the number of petitions that were filed. Also, the complexity of the petitions over time, and it's difficult for them to get their adjudicators up, fully staffed and educated in very complicated legal documents and economic models.
Can you tell us a little more about the Olivewood Retail Center?
Sure. The Olivewood Retail Center, it is 6 acres, mixed use of office building and retail, about 50,000 square feet of rentable space. Its construction is now complete. In fact, on Wednesday of this week, we will be opening the organic market. That is the first business to open up in the center, and the rest of them will begin to open after that.
What kind of loan was used with this?
This project was an equity model. My investors own 86% of the center, and the original developer owns 14%.
And what percent of Olivewood is now leased?
About 30% is now leased. We're really starting the leasing push now.
After your first I-526 was approved, how much time does ARS have to actually meet the USCIS job requirements for Olivewood?
Well, for that investor whose first I-526 was approved, there's a 21-month period. It is the 24 months prescribed in the regulations, less 90 days when the I-829 needs to be filed.
How do you locate EB-5 investors, and how much has been raised for the Olivewood project?
For the Olivewood project, we raised $12 million, 24 investors. We go to Asia, typically China, about every 2 months, and through a combination of personal contacts and occasionally small brokers.
Will Olivewood meet the minimum number of jobs to comply with USCIS job requirements?
Absolutely. Each one of our projects has an approved economic model which provides a substantial cushion on the number of jobs required. We generally like about 2 to 1, so we generally like about 20 jobs for every investor.
So you're optimistic that the job creation will provide green cards for your investors?
Absolutely. I can't see why there would be any problem with the 829 stage.
Let's talk about the Marietta Educational Center. Can you tell me about that project?
Yes, that project is 5-story office buildings. It's called the Education Center because it is primarily targeting the education market. So it's targeting what they call career colleges or trade schools.
And can you tell me how the EB-5 syndication is going on that?
It's going well. That will really be our next project. We will start promoting that next year.
Have you broken ground on that?
We have not.
When do you expect it to break ground and expect it to be complete?
We expect to break ground next year, and it will be complete about 14 months after we break ground.
Recently, Marietta Mayor Pro Tem Rick Gibbs was on our show. He told us that ARS invited him to China for the purpose of raising EB-5 capital. How did this work, and was it successful? It
was very successful. The city of Marietta has been extremely cooperative. We couldn't hope for a better city, a better pro-business city. Rick Gibbs, of course, was fantastic. He went with us, as you said, to China, which is, in Asia, it's very important to have an official with you to show that they support the project. But in addition to Rick, the Economic Development Director, Bruce Coleman, we've found to be the most cooperative of any of the cities. In fact, when I first got my license, the first thing I did was write to economic development directors in many of the Southern California cities. It was Bruce who came to us and said that he would do anything that he could to support us and help us, and he has been as good as his word.
Can you tell me if the decision to end redevelopment had any financial impact on the Marietta project?
It hasn't had any effect on us. As you know, we've got redevelopment in our name. Because originally our license proposed that we would build in redevelopment areas. Fortuitously, we sought an amendment before Governor Brown got elected and asked to expand our model outside the redevelopment area. That was granted, and I might comment that at the time it was granted the 90 days, not a processing time we see today. So we no longer are restricted to redevelopment areas. The only effect it's had on any of our projects is the local government's ability to direct development.
After our last show, we had inquiries about the cost of marketing in China. Now, can you tell us what it would cost a typical city to accompany ARS on a tour to China?
It's certainly airfare and hotel. Mm-hmm. So one person going over for a week, 10 days, can probably do it for about $5,000. And
recently we had Bernie Truax on our show, and he told us that ARS is providing the EB-5 funding for the mixed-use building, the Truax building, in Old Town Temecula. Can you tell us what your role is in that?
Well, same as any other project, our job is to gather investors, aggregate them into a limited partnership, and that one is on the loan model, and then lend it to the developer, taking back a note and deed of trust.
Can you tell us how much capital was raised for the Truax building?
The Truax building will be $16 million.
Is the Truax project sold out, or are there investor spots available still?
There are investor spots available, but of course we are not marketing that project at all in the U.S., only overseas. For our viewers who would be a prospective investor interested in the Truax project, how do they go about connecting with you? Well, like I said, because I've been doing this since about the mid-90s, I know a lot of people who are in the industry, and so We tend to use personal contacts and small finders in Asia. We have not signed on with any of the large finders.
In talking with Bernie, he mentioned that Inland Investor Group 8 and Buck Jones are Buck Johns are affiliated with American Redevelopment Solutions. What is his role? How do you work with him?
He is marketing that project in Asia.
Is it a project that you can talk about?
Well, it's the Bernie Truax project, and it's being marketed exclusively in China right now.
For a developer who is seeking EB-5 financing, does ARS compete in-depth background checks?
We do, and in fact, as soon as we received our designation and our name hit the USCIS website, we started receiving unsolicited calls from developers. So we spend probably 50% of our time vetting potential projects.
How does ARS underwrite a potential regional center project?
Well, if it's on the loan model, our underwriting would be no different in concept from the way a bank would underwrite it. Some of our concerns are a little different than theirs. Timing is more important to us, shovel readiness, developer equity, those types of things are important to us just like they would be to a bank. We're not as rigid as a bank and we have more flexibility.
Have you, like other regional centers, noticed that USCIS is starting to ask more questions about project finance feasibility and tenant occupancy? And if so, why do you think this is happening?
We haven't noticed it. We've actually only received 7 RFEs, and those have all basically been on source of funds. But as we all know, February 17th of this year, the USCIS, in a very short memo, raised the question of the tenant occupancy nexus between job creation and the tenants. That has yet to be fully fleshed out, and I understand that our regional centers are receiving very long RFEs in the order of 20 to 25 pages, asking more details. But at the stakeholders meeting in DC last week, they announced there would be a special stakeholders meeting in about a month held solely on the tenant occupancy issue and run by Director Mayorkas personally.
What are some of the challenges that you see investors face when just going through these forms like the I-526 and then after that with the I-829?
It is the most complex of all the immigration petitions, and we retain outside immigration counsel, or we have the investor retain outside immigration counsel to handle most of the complexity. And from their standpoint, the most complex thing they have to deal with is the source of funds. And that, of course, is most complicated by the fact that the way many people hold money in other countries is different from the way we hold money here. And they're trying to conform to the USCIS standard, which is somewhat incompatible to their home country.
So how do you help them work around that?
I guess the answer is use very experienced immigration counsel. And with the expansion of this industry, many immigration counsel are relatively new to the EB-5 arena, even if they are very experienced in other areas of immigration. So if you use experienced immigration counsel with a very good track record, it shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you for joining us, Ron.
Thank you, Aimee.
American Redevelopment Solution projects are mixed-use commercial buildings combining retail, restaurant, and office tenants, for example. Their Olivewood Retail Plaza is expected to create 329 jobs, and their Marietta Educational Center is estimated to create 1,358 jobs. Both projects will have a significant economic impact on the community while providing immigrant visas for their EB-5 investors. I'm your host, Aimee Rios, and I want to thank you for watching this edition of EB-5 Investment Report.